Hey everybody, Tom here for Tom's Road Trip, and I am in St. Augustine, Florida. Being in this historic area, I thought it'd be appropriate to visit the old fort that is here. It's called Fort Matanzas. Hopefully I said that correctly. I'm sure one of you guys will let me know if I did that incorrectly or not, but it's a small fort, requires a ferry to get over there. I'm going to go and get the ferry. It is free admission, doesn't cost anything to park. The ferry that goes over there is absolutely free. I am here about 11:30ish, so apparently I missed the 11:30 ferry. It's already left. They are filled up. That's why it's on a capacity basis. They only allow a certain amount of people over on the fort area because it's not really large. So hopefully I'll be able to get the 1:30 or perhaps 2:30 ferry over there. The park closes exactly at 5:30. That's when they lock the gates. You got to be out of there by 5:15 according to their website. They do have a nice nature trail here. So after I get my boarding pass, depending on what time I go over there, I'll check out the nature trail. All right, we got Discover Fort Matanzas. Got nature trails and got an old fort. Alright, ferry boat is the only way to the fort. Then you go to the visitor center, which is right here, and get my ferry pass, which is free. Matanzas in 1565. Got pirate attacks, and lifeline. This is the sea ran mountains high, and in preservation. All right, so I got my boarding pass for 2:30. There we go. You see, it's a very small fort. And this is where we'll be catching the ferry to go across the water. Crumbling Coquina. Got gopher tortoise burrows. Alright, so there are restroom locations right in the parking area. Those are the only restroom locations that are here. So if you can take the ferry over to the fort, you want to make sure you use the restroom first, as there's no restrooms over there. And this is the trail maybe taken. We're going to be doing a coastal hammock trail. It's the yellow outline. Shows you the way to go. I absolutely love boardwalk trails. So hopefully I will see some sort of critters. If not, I'll just enjoy the natural Florida. Plus this is another national park that I've been to now. Alright, so they have this little laminated paper here that you get right at the beginning. Gives you all the descriptions of the areas that we're going to be going through. Sorry about that. Just trying to get a grip of it for you. So it's conveniently located right inside of this waterproof case. And we're going to continue along. Got Hercules Club, also known as a toothache tree. Guess that's this tree right here. I absolutely love places like this. Show you a different part of Florida. Alright, so we come to number 1. There we go. Coastal forks or hammock. As you can see, creates a nice hammock over. Very nice. We got holly and myrtle. It's gonna be these here. Got number 2. We got leaf adaptations. Just showing you how different leaves adapt to the environment. Summertime is Florida's rainy season. Even though we are called the Sunshine State, that's only true for a portion of the year. But a good 55% of the total rainfall for the state happens during the summer. Alright, we got life in the shade. Apologize for the reflection. Got bobcats and skinks. Alright, we got number 3. Alright, number 3 is berries and birds. So these trees and shrubs here produce berries. However, I don't currently see any berries. I could just mean that the birds already ate them all. Since it is springtime, it's also possible that they sprout their berries a little bit later in the year. Alright, so we're leaving the boardwalk temporarily. Go across the pathway and go back on. These trails here are for park rangers. So this is not for pedestrians. We're back on the boardwalk. Got palmetto. Saw this. So we've got sable and saw. So yeah, sable palms and saw palms. I really love how the trail just goes around these trees. Gives a nice shady walk. Again, this is out in real Florida. Got eastern red cedar. That's this giant tree right here. That is a massive tree. There are benches around the perimeter and during the walking trail. So in case you get tired, you just want to sit and enjoy the scenery. Alright, we come to number 4. Number 4 is saw palmetto. Saw more of this earlier. Usually when the Forest Service has prescribed burns, this is the type of stuff that the prescribed burns gets rid of. Gets rid of all the stuff that chokes the ground and opens everything up. So that way these other trees can thrive. Alright, number 5. Alright, we got spiders. Any of you guys watching that have arachnophobia or the fear of spiders might not like this part. Okay, so I do not currently see any spider webs. That does not mean they are not here. I'm just not seeing them right now. But as you can imagine, there's probably spiders all over the place in here. Oh, we got winged sumac. See these right here. Oh, we got live oak in Red Bay. Now, live oaks are all over the state of Florida. I've seen live oaks that are like 10 times the size of this one. But live oaks tend to branch out a lot from the main trunk. So they are definitely more susceptible to hurricanes, as most oak trees species in the state of Florida have very shallow root systems. And since they're so large, these type of trees tend to topple more so than the hardier trees that are deeply rooted. Coming out to a little bit more open area. Got number 6. All right, number 6 is scrub. So yeah, it's definitely more open. You see several of the trees that have toppled over, most likely from last year's hurricane season. So this is all dead. Eventually it'll fall down completely and just rot, as termites will probably take over. That will attract birds that consume insects, especially like woodpeckers. It's a circle of life, folks. All right, we got number 7. Number 7 is tracks. There's like dirt mounds. Of course, it rained very heavily yesterday, as I stated on my other video today. This is my second excursion. It rained very heavily yesterday. It was supposed to be my first day of this road trip, but it got rained out, so I didn't even show up here until late last night to St. Augustine. But any animal tracks that would have been in this spot are all washed away. Speaking of leaving their mark, these are the different animal prints. The gopher tortoise and the black racer. Got number 8. Number 8 is gopher tortoise. You can see this is already dunes here, and there's the water there. That's the intercoastal. Over here to the left, you can hear the traffic. Other side of that is the open Atlantic. So gopher tortoises will live all in this area here. Got dunes nightlife. All the critters that will be out after dark. Of course, possums and raccoons and cute little marsh rabbits. Got 2 live oaks. Let's give me this one. See the shape of their leaves. See number 9. Number 9 is called the Massacre. More information on the Massacre, Old World Showdown. Make sure you pause it to read. There's this concrete monument here. Basically marks the spot where the massacre happened. Of course, it's all grown up since then. Got Kunti. I don't see what it is trying to show, because a lot of this stuff here is currently dead. Alright, last up we got number 10. Stop and listen. It says Barrier Island that we are on is less than half a mile wide. Unfortunately, a majority of what I hear right now from this spot is the traffic driving by. But I have occasionally heard chirps of birds, the wind rustling the leaves. I did see a green anole lizard, but unfortunately it was too fast for me to catch him on film for you guys. Alright, we're coming to the end of the boardwalk again. And I believe this loops around to the rest of the boardwalk. So this essentially ends the trail. This right here is where the trail ends, and this is the portion of the boardwalk that I walked through. So this right here takes us right back to where we started, and where I will drop off my pamphlet. Here, a living treehouse. We got Spanish moss. See all these gorgeous live oaks. So it's stating how far away the branches grow on these. Got a low branch warning right there. People don't conk their heads on it. Not paying attention. There's lots of picnic tables here. You come and enjoy a lunch that you supply yourself. Got some other benches over here. There we go. Looks like we got a storm coming, so we're gonna try to rush our trip. You can see the fort right over there.
This box, if you're under 90 pounds, we do ask you to stay seated till we're safely docked on the other side. We do have some weather in the area. We're concerned about lightning specifically out here, so if we ask you to come back to the boat or we cut the tour short, that is going to be why. The fort has been struck by lightning in the past. So we're on a metal boat, metal dock. Everybody's on board on the same page?
Yep.
All right.
But you will get your money back.
Thank you.
Stern is clear, skipper, you're free from dock.
I see it.
Yeah, so taking this ferry is the only way to get there. See lots of people out here on their boats. That's the lovely weather right there. Could be heading over that's it right there. Very cool though. I think the guy said it was built in 1740. But this was built to guard the back entrance, basically, to St. Augustine.
Downtown St. Augustine. Okay, more people. Good, good. So the history of the fort here ties into the history of the fort over there. Normally I'd give a talk outside over there, but given the weather, I'm going to give it in here real quick. I'm going to give you a condensed version of that talk, just kind of give you a little idea of what you're looking at exactly. This fort is called Fort Matanzas. It was built in 1740, completed in 1742. And how it got its name is due to an interesting story that happened about 200 years prior, before it was built in 1565. So what had occurred is, to kind of give you some context, the Spanish were settled in St. Augustine, as you know it today, just north of us, and the French, their main opponent at the time, was in modern-day Jacksonville, at a place known as Fort Caroline. A memorial still stands there to this day if you wanted to go check it out as well. And how the story goes, the French got all their men, put them on boats, and decided they were going to get rid of St. Augustine as a settlement, and brought all their men down south. As unfortunate as fate would have it, a hurricane would strike their boat, drive them all the way down south, and have them crash up against the beach in between modern-day Canaveral National Seashore and Daytona Beach, right in between that area. At the same time, the Spanish men of St. Augustine decided they were going to get rid of the French over at Fort Caroline in Jacksonville. So they got all their men, except this time they went via land and went all the way up to Fort Caroline, found it very lightly guarded due to all the men having previously left, and were very easily able to take over the fort of Fort Caroline, as the majority were just women and children. They were taken in as prisoners and processed down south of here. On their way back, they run into local Timucuan Native Americans who tell them they just saw a bunch of Europeans down by the beach south of St. Augustine. The Spanish decided those must be all the Frenchmen we did not see over at Fort Caroline. So they make their way down south, and at the same time the French, as they get their men together, march back up north, wanting to just go home, as a majority of them were starving and all their supplies were destroyed and they were just in a bad situation. So the French are marching up north, the Spanish are coming down south to find them, and they find them in this area right here near this inlet that you know today. And how the story goes is, as one of the Frenchmen, as a translator, the Spanish informed them that they had just destroyed Fort Caroline, their women and children were gone, there was no home to go back to. They were all that remained at that time. Feeling demoralized, they decided they would surrender to the Spanish. Now, there's about 127 Frenchmen and about 70 heavily armed Spanish guards at this time. One of the Spanish chaplains asked the leader of the Spanish group to see how many of them would profess their Catholic faith. 1500s in Europe, to kind of give you some idea, there was a lot of religious warfare going on. The Spanish were primarily Catholics, and the French were primarily Huguenots as we know it as Protestants today. Of the 127 Frenchmen, 16 claimed either their Catholic faith or were useful artisans that could be used in St. Augustine and were found useful. The other 111 which were taken by small groups over the sand dunes and killed one by one until all of them were killed. This event actually occurred 2 different times. It happened the second time, and another 100 plus were killed over the sand dunes. That's where this place gets its name, Matanzas. Matanzas is the Spanish word for slaughters and or massacres. So if you ever see any local stuff named after Matanzas, it's due to that event right there. Now what you're looking at, you may notice that small window right in the middle section. That's where 6 enlisted men would stay. And the top window was the private room for the officers. So you'd have about 7 people here in total on 30-day rotations. So they'd come down here for about 30 days at a time, do the tour of duty, and then they'd go back home. What you're looking at the very top is the Cross of Burgundy. What it is an old Spanish military flag that they would use anywhere from the 1500s to the 1700s. The white background stands for the purity of their cause, and the red X is actually known as St. Andrew's Cross. Those of you that are religious may know about St. Andrew, a disciple of Jesus Christ. He decided he was not worthy to die in the same way that Christ did, so when he was eventually crucified, he asked that his cross be put in the form of an X, and that's how he was crucified. That's where that cross comes from. That's where the states of Alabama and Florida get their inspiration on the state flag. You ever see that red cross? That's where it comes from right there. So just in a second, I'll be good. What we're going to do is...
So what we're going to do, we're going to take a little bit of caution here. We're going to close the observation deck, which is a very, very top deck. So that will not be accessible during this tour, but you'll be able to get off and explore both levels. And again, if we ask you to return to the boat, please do so quickly and safely. And does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah.
All right.
If you don't, we're going to leave you.
Now, just 2 major rules on the fort itself. The fort is made out of coquina. Coquina is a very porous material, so we ask that you please do not sit on the coquina. There are plenty of benches on the middle section. By all means, make use of those benches while you're up there. Second thing of note, there are 2 replica 6-pounder cannons. Please watch your feet. Do not stand directly behind them, because if it rolls over your foot, it will hurt. You will notice it. So if you please calmly stand up behind me, I'll get you over to the fort in just a second here. Spend some time, get some pictures real quick, but by all means, if you hear us say get back to the boat, it's because lightning's in the area and we need to get back to the boat. Other than that, you guys follow me?
Enjoy, guys. Have fun.
Thank you.
Alright, so as Steve was saying, we cannot go all the way up above just because of the risk of lightning. And you see that flag up there? That's what he was talking about. Very historic. This actually looks like it's kind of splitting is what it looks like, just because of the base of it looks like it's starting to crumble a little bit. Being several hundred years old, the fact that this has survived all this time, especially being such a porous stone. All the hurricanes that we get. So I wanted to come see this while I was here. Very steep steps.
7? Why 7? Originally had 4. How many?
It's actually moved about a quarter to a half a mile southbound in the last 250 years. Kind of imagine what closer to us. The purpose of this fort is to make sure no foreign powers came in through this end through the back door. No, so kind of yes and no. When it was in the middle of being built, the British came down, they Brian Leverett building this. This managed at the time, only had this bottom section filled.
It's a water cistern. You would have got well water from here. Soldiers' quarters. Average of 6 soldiers lived in this room for 30 days. See 4 beds in this photo. Wow. This is like one giant bed that they all would have shared. This is a dirt floor. No fancy tiles or anything. So they would have used for all the cannons out here. Different cannonballs. Alright, I'm feeling a couple raindrops, so I'm gonna go upstairs real quick. Because most likely they're gonna be calling us back to the boat. Normally we'd get a half hour out here, but
What it is.
since I am feeling raindrops.
What it is, when they dredge the intercoastal waterway, when they maintain it, instead of dumping all the fill and stuff, when they cut the intercoastal waterway.
Got this information here. You see all the stuff for the cannons are right here. See a table here in bed. As you were stating on the boat.
So you'll find all along the intercoastal waterway, you'll find the dredge, the spoil.
Got beach patrol reports.
They're going to green it eventually?
They planted a place for artifacts as far as shark's teeth, fossils. But no, that's what that.
Yeah, you can see the way this was built. And all the cracks.
And I have to get them before they leave because they believe me. Oh, geez.
Have you been up to the fort in Youngstown?
No, sir.
Oh, you have to see that.
Unfortunately, we're not allowed up top.
Is there a Greg in here?
The British were entertaining.
Alright, so it is starting to rain, so we are heading back to the boat. A little bit of rain's not going to hurt. It's the lightning we don't want. Alright, we got some significant rain right now. But we are partially under cover. Of course, half the boat is soaking wet because of the wind. But of course, as soon as we move, that's all going to change. We knew it was a possibility we're going to get rained on. And sure enough, here we are getting all moist. Woo! Man, these poor guys, they're all moist now. Look at that. Woo! I'm so glad I'm using my small camera. That's alright. A little bit of rain never hurt.
On a sunny day, real troopers come out in the rain.
Well, that was fun anyway. A little bit of rain's okay, not too bad. Not too bad.
You guys have been talking about this for a while.
Somebody we get girls out. Remember when Uncle Alvin told us to go on the boat? Your mother made you do this.
This crazy person out there on a sea-doo. Gonna get a little moist going to the car also. inside the information center.
I got an extended grade though.
This gives you a basically how they built that fort that we were just in.
Alright.
That was very interesting. Yeah, not super large, but definitely historical. Alright, so Fort Matanzas.
Yes, sir.
This is a
Are you gonna run the freezer?
brochure that I got.
No idea. Alright, it's captain's call. They'll call it probably in like 5-10 minutes. So, yeah, probably unlikely. But yeah.
Gives you all the information.
No worries, yeah, work the wait just in case.
It gives you the timeline. Timeline from the 1500s.
I signed it, I can check my signature. Yeah. Yeah, I used to pass.
And visiting the park. That was nice. Even with a little bit of rain. In the back of the brochure shows you all the different animals that live in this area. Alright, so I'm heading back to my car. Hope you guys enjoyed my little impromptu trip here to the fort. Had a nice time. The nature trail was really cool. Unfortunately, I didn't see a whole lot of nature. I did see a couple of lizards, but they both moved too fast for me to actually film them. But seeing the fort, that was really, really cool. Very historic to the state of Florida and the national park system. I do enjoy going to the national parks and monuments. I've been to several, including the ones in Washington, D.C. I hope to visit more in the future on my travels. So leave some comments down below what your favorite part, or if this is something you would like to see in person one day. If you're in the state of Florida, especially in St. Augustine, I highly recommend you stop for a trip. If you want to learn more about the history of our country and the history of the state of Florida, it's waiting right here for you. So I appreciate everybody watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.